Good morning and Jai Hind children. I welcome you all in today's live class of chemistry. Children, we are discussing the chapter weather, climate and adaptation. And in previous class, I have discussed about the factors that determine the climate of a place. Is it? So I hope that you understood those all factors. Now today I am going to discuss some examples to see that what does the weather pattern of certain places tells us. Alright children? So the first example is that weather patterns tells us that it is cold in Darjeeling for most part of the year. Therefore, we say that the climate in Darjeeling is cold. Alright. And in general, the climate in the mountainous areas of North India is cold. Get it? So the climate in Darjeeling or weather patterns in Darjeeling is cold. The second example is the northeast India, which receives rain for a major part of the year. Is it? So we say that the climate in northeast India is wet. Alright, children? The climate in northeast India is, yes, it is waste, whereas the climate in mountainous areas, alright, is cold. Now, the third example is it is warm and humid throughout the year in Chennai. Alright, so therefore, the climate in Chennai is warm and humid. Get it, children? The climate in Chennai is, yes, it is warm and humid. And now, the next example is the climate in Kerala. It is hot and wet. Understood? So, with the help of these examples, I hope that you understood the weather pattern of different places. Now, one more example is there. In the desert region in Rajasthan, for example, in Bikaner, it is hot for most part of the year and it does become cold in winter. So, which does not last for long. So, there is very little rainfall, and this hot and dry climate is typical for desert areas. Got it? So, the hot and dry climate. Yes, it is typical for desert areas. Got it, children? So I hope that with the help of these examples, you understood the different weather patterns of different places of our country. Is it? Now, come to the next topic of the chapter. And the next topic is the effect of the sun on climate. Alright, children, how the sun affects on the climate. Effect of the sun on climate. Actually, the earth gets heated by the rays of the sun which falling on it. Is it? And near the equator, the rays falls vertically. And as the latitude, children, do you know the meaning of latitude? It means the distance of a place from the equator. That is known as latitude. Alright. So as the latitude increases, the rays becomes more and more slanting. And the slanting rays spread over a larger land area than vertical rays. Okay, so also they pass through a thicker layer of the atmosphere which absorbs a large part of their heat. This means that the land near the equator gets heated up more by the sun than land which is away from it in a given time. Alright, children? So here the climate is going to affect by the sun. Get it? The land which is near the equator, it gets heated up and more by the sun, and as compared to the land which is away from it at a given time. Alright? So also the days are longer near the equator than at the places away from it. Get it, children? The temperature gets vary and also the period or the duration of the days. So the days are longer near the equator. Okay, and the places which is away from the equator, they are the shorter day. Get it? And the sun rises early and sets late near the equator. This is one of the characteristics also. The sunrise and the sets that occurs, yes, early. On which places? The places which is near the equator. And this also causes land near the equator to get heated up more than the land which is away from it. Okay, as it receives sunlight for more time. So this is the reason that as the places which is near the equator, they receive more sunlight, and that is why they heat it up more and the days are longer here. All right, and the places which are away from the equator, they receives less sunlight, and as a result, yes, the days are shorter. Got it, children? Now, an interesting fact is that at the poles there is 6 months of days and 6 months of night, and the sun remains barely above the horizon during the 6 months days. That is why it is so cold at the poles. Alright, children. What the reason that why the poles are so cold? So the reason is yes that they receives 6 months of the days and the 6 months of night. And the reason behind it is the sun remains only barely above the horizon during the 6 months day. And that is why it is so cold at the poles. Alright? Children, one more thing which is very interesting that you must have to know. In the northern hemisphere, the longest day, that is the duration between sunrise and sunset. Okay, so this duration is longest is usually 21st June, and the shortest day is usually 22nd December. Alright, so you must have to remember it. In the northern hemisphere, the longest day is 21st June and the shortest day is usually 22nd. Get it? Children, as we have discussed about the time of sunrise and sunset, so how you will study it? So to study the times of sunrise and sunset, a very simple activity you can perform. Okay, and I'm going to discuss that activity now. So the activity, the aim is to study the times of sunset and sunrise. Alright, children, this will be our objective. And to study the length of a day in your town, okay, gets as many as old newspapers as you can. What you have to do, children? You have to collect the old newspaper more and more and note the times of sunrise and sunset during summer and winter. Get it? So you have to note down the times of sunset and sunrise in a paper of different days in summer and winter and then calculate the length of each day. Get it? So, how does the length of the day vary during the year? That is in summers and in winters. So, you will find that the length of the day is going to vary in the months of summer, in the days of summer, and in the days of winter. Get it? And if you cannot get hold of old newspaper, you can study the times of sunrise and sunset on the internet also. Okay, so go through the internet and find out the times of sunrise and sunset on various days of summers and winters. Get it? And from the times of sunrise and sunset, now calculate the length of each day and plot the graph which shows the changes in the length of the day during this period. Get it? And compare the graph of Delhi with another city. Say that Mumbai and note down that what differences are there. Get it? So you will get your answer that the differences and how this changes is going to occur in the length of day and in summers and in winters. Got it? So for this activity, simply you have to use your old newspaper or you have to use the internet. Get it, children? So I hope that you understood the activity to study the times of sunrise and sunset. Alright? Now, we'll come to the oral question 1, which is given in your book on page number 98. And the question number 1 is that what changes from day to day? The weather or the climate? Understood, children? The question out of these two, the weather or climate, what changes from day to day? So, children, very simple that the weather changes from day to day, whereas climate not changes day to day. To change the climate, it takes a lot of time. Say that about 25 to 30 years. Get it? So, correct answer will be weather, which changes from day to day. Now, the question number 2. In general, does it become colder or warmer as the latitude increases? And give reason also. Children, the question is very simple, but you must have to understood first the question that in general, does it becomes colder or warmer as the latitude increases? Okay, so it becomes colder as the latitude increases. And the reason is as the rays of the sun become more slanting as latitude. That is the distance of the place from the equator. Okay, it increases. And also the rays pass through a thicker layer of atmosphere. And this causes the land there to get heated up less. And also the region receive sunlight for less time. That is why it becomes colder at the latitude increases. Get it? And as the latitude decreases, it becomes warmer. And the reason is just opposite to it. Get it? Now, come to the next question number 3. And the question is, can the weather be accurately predicted? Give reason. Children understood the question. We can predict the weather accurately. Give the reason for it. So, weather cannot be predicted accurately. Is it? And the reason is, yes, because the weather is a very complex phenomenon and is affected by so many factors. Okay, so it is very difficult to predict the weather accurately. Got it? The next question number 4. And the question is, during which season do you expect the sun to rise late and set early in Delhi? In which season, children? That sunrise, yes, expected to late and set early in Delhi. So during winter season, okay, which season? During winter season, we expect the sun to rise late and set early in Delhi. Got it? So I hope that you understood all the answers of oral question first. And you need to write these all oral questions in your notebook also. Okay, children? Now, come to the next topic of the chapter, that is climate and adaptation. Climate and adaptation. Children, as we already have discussed about the climate of certain places or certain regions. Okay, so this climate is related to the adaptation process also. So here in the chapter, we will discuss about the adaptation of animals. Get it? How the animals get adopted to live in different types of climate. Get it? So first, we'll discuss the adaptation of animals. Get it? The climate of a place affects the plants, animals, and people living there in many ways. Got it, children? There are different ways by which the climate of a place affects all the living organisms. You can say that animals, plants, and people. Get it? The most difficult climate are extreme heat and extreme cold. And the animals can survive in almost all climates because they have many ways of adapting to extreme temperatures. Understood, children? So, animals can survive in almost all the climates. So, we will discuss one by one the adaptations which are found in animals in different types of climates. Okay, and the first one is adaptation to cold climate. Original adaptation to cold climates. So you have seen that it is very cold in the polar region, is it? And in winters, the temperature can drop to as low as minus 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the animals such place as seals, polar bears, etc., they are able to live under such extreme cold as they are adapted to it. Okay, so one by one, we will take the example of the animals, those who are living in, yes, polar areas or polar region, how they get adapted to live in such extreme cold condition. A little in. So the first example we will take about the polar bears. Polar bears. Children, the bodies of polar bears are several other animals which are living in very, very cold conditions are covered with dense, fine fur that traps air. Is it? And which is an insulator of okay, the fur which is present on the body of the polar bears act as a insulator. Okay, and to keep them warm. So these furs which are present on the body help to keep the body of polar bear warm. And the polar bears have two thick layer of furs as well as a layer of fat under the skin. Get it? So what adaptations are present in polar bears? The first adaptation is, yes, dense fine fur. Okay, which act as an insulator. And the second adaptation is have a thick layers of, yes, fat also. So they have thick layer of fat under the skin, and these provide excellent insulation. They together the dense fur on the skin and the thick layer of fat under the skin provide the excellent insulation, and so much so that the polar bear has to move slowly, otherwise the heat generated during the physical activities can make it overheated, and when it does become overheated due to physical activities, the polar bear goes for swimming in the water to cool off. Its white and large paws help it to swim. Got it, children? Another adaptation is, yes, the white and large paws. With the help of them, it can swim easily in water, and it can close its nostril and remains underwater for long duration. So these all are the adaptations which are found in polar bear by which it can easily survive in polar regions. And it is interesting to note that the polar bear has white fur, which camouflages it with the white snow and makes it difficult to be seen. And this protects the polar bear against predators and also helps it to catch prey. So this is also a kind of adaptation, that the color of the fur is white, and because of it, yes, it camouflages with the snow, and it is very difficult to see it. So this white fur protect the polar bear against the predator, and it also help it to catch a prey. Alright, children? So this one is the first example of the animal polar bear which is found in polar regions. Now come to the second example, and the example is penguins. Penguins are found in the polar regions also, and they have similar adaptations. Okay, and their white color helps them to camouflage with the snow. So one of the adaptation in penguin is, yes, the color is white, and because of them it can camouflage with the snow. And their feathers, the thick skin and fat under the skin, they all provide the insulation against the cold. Got it, children? As the polar bear have the thick layer of fat under the skin, just like that the penguins also have the same. Okay, and the feathers, in place of fur, they have the feathers. So the feathers and the fat layer, they together act as a insulator. And one more adaptation is found in penguins, that they huddle together when it is very cold. Get it? And this keeps them warm. Didn't you know that the huddle together means what? It means that the movement takes place in the group of penguins together. Okay, the individual penguins not moves from the group. All together group moves in different direction. So this is known as huddle together. And because of it, yes, they protected from the cold. Got it? Penguins also are good swimmers, and they have streamlined body and webbed feet that help them in swimming. So this is also one of the adaptation which is found in penguins. For swimming in water, they have the body shape like streamlined. and the webbed feet. So with the help of this webbed feet, they can easily swim in water. Got it, children? So this one is the next example. Now the third example are the birds. Okay. So the birds, they use their feathers to protect their bodies from the cold. Okay, as you must have seen, the body of the birds are covered with feathers, and these feathers protect them from cold. However, this protection is not enough for the extreme winters in the polar region. So, to escape the cold, they migrate to warmer regions during the winters, and many of them come to India also. Okay? And in winters, you can see the migratory birds in the Bharatpur and Sultanpur bird sanctuaries in India. Okay? And they go back to Siberia in the polar region after winter is over. So this migration is also a kind of adaptation which are found in, yes, polar birds. So because of this migration, they travel a long distance in winter season and comes to different other parts of countries. Like in our country, we have Bharatpur and Sultanpur bird sanctuaries. Get it, children? So these are the different adaptations which are found in birds which are living in polar regions. Now, one more example of the animal which is found in polar region is seal. Children, the seals have a thick deposition of fat which is called blubber. What it is called, children? A layer of fat present under the skin, and this thick layer of fat in seals is known as blubber, and this blubber protects them from the cold because it acts as a insulator. Get it? Now, a few other animals in which the animals reduce heat loss are as follows. So these are some of the examples, and now we are going to discuss, yes, some more examples in which the animals reduce the heat. Like the first one, reptiles. Reptiles keeps their body warm by absorbing solar radiation during the day, and at night they seek shelter to keep warm. However, this is not possible in the polar regions, and therefore hardly any reptiles are found in these regions. Get it? So children, reptiles are not generally found in polar region. And the reason behind it is, yes, the body of reptiles, they keep them warm by absorbing solar radiation during the day, and night they seek shelter to keep warm. Get it? Which is not possible in polar regions. So that is why reptiles are hardly found in polar regions. The second one is that parts of the bodies such as ears, tails and legs, okay, they lose heat first, and hence animals in cold climates have small ears and tails and short legs. Get it? Why they have the small ears, short tails and short legs? Yes, to lose less amount of heat. Get it in? Because these body parts lose heat first. So that is why they have the small in size in polar regions. And the next one is that another way to reduce heat loss is to reduce body activity. Get it? This one is the third point, that the animals who are living in the polar regions, to reduce the heat loss, they reduce their body activity. And some mammals, they hibernate during the winter months to reduce the loss of heat. Understood, children? The hibernation. Yes, hibernation is the period in which the mammals go for long sleep for many months and mainly in winter months. And why this happens? It happens just to reduce the loss of heat from the body. And this keeps them, yes, alive in such cold climate. So the hibernation is also one of the adaptation which is found in the animals of polar regions. Got it, children? So I hope that you understood that the adaptation which are found in animals in cold climates. Get it? And with help of some examples that I have already explained. Now, after this, we will discuss the next adaptation which are found in the animals in hot climates. Okay? In hot climates, that is in deserts. Get it, children? So we will discuss the next, the adaptation to hot climates are in deserts, the animals which are living there in our next class. Okay? So I hope that you understood today's topic which we have discussed. Thank you and have a nice day.